welcome back to another episode of Mystic Vibes. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Now don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload another video. Let's just get right into it, shall we? So, today I am posting part 2 of a 2-part video. So if you haven't watched part 1 as yet, go over there and you will see how I do the ball cap method before I install this frontal ponytail on my birthday girl. So in part 1 of the video, I show you guys how I do the ball cap method, how I got her natural hair to be catching one without using too much product, and so forth. So for part 2 of this video, I am just showing you how I place the lace on the ready glue that I applied before I actually did 3 coats of the ghost bond glue, and I wait until it's transparent, as clear as possible, before I apply each coat. So what I'm doing now is just pressing in the lace so it can melt in more with the glue. So because the video was extremely long, I think it was 100 and something minutes, I have to speed it up a little and try to edit as short as possible, because I know long videos can be very boring. Even when it's interesting, it can still be boring. So after I place the frontal for the front in place, I'm going ahead now and I'm going to lay down the second frontal at the back. For this part, I am going to be removing the size of the frontal, which for a lot of people it would be a waste of money, but style and expenses comes together. So once you want a style, it's gonna cost you and you're gonna spend, okay? So because the surface of the back of her hair is not as wide as the front, so the frontal for the front will easily use back, but for the back one, it might end up as a closure, or it might end up to go back in the process of doing another frontal ponytail. So the front one is broad enough because it takes almost the entire frontal to get the front one laid down, but for the back one, you know, after removing the sides, the frontal is going to become smaller than usual. So if you're to use this same frontal to place on the front of your head, it's not going to be ear to ear, it will be like a extremely wide closure, probably a 6x6 closure or 6x4 closure. Alright, so after I lay it down, I brush it in place, and now I am removing the excess lace from off the wig, from off the frontal. So now I am separating the part of the frontal that will be staying there for the ponytail, and I'm just taking off the excess part that is not going to be a part of the style. It pains my heart to do this, I am not going to lie. It really, really, really pains my heart to do this. I know how expensive frontals are, and me personally, I don't think I would ever do this style. Maybe when I have money, like, I probably can afford it 50 times. I don't know, I don't like waste money. But, you know, style is style, and style can spoil, and style look good, especially if it's a birthday. But it pained my heart to cut off in 2 pieces of frontal lip on the side. It really pained my heart, and I know me buy. So, just imagine, I wouldn't do this style. If me have to go cut off the side part them, more than just a front, and I say, boy, frontal, I can't go use back for the front, you know, unless I want closure, I go to the, you know. But anyways, guys, after I cut off the excess lace from the sides, I'm just pressing in the glue so it can bend and it can blend it in with the skin, the scalp, and the glue. So I'm just pressing in the part after I cut it off, because after you cut off the excess lace, the little part that is always hanging out will look like it's lifting, so you will have to press it down back. So that's what I'm doing. And then I take out a little baby hairs for the sides, because I'm going to give her some loose curls at the back on both sides, not down on her neck back, just both sides. And if I haven't said this already, guys, I do not like to do voice overs, but because at this time I have to get into it. I have to try hard, I have to practice, and I have to think about what I am saying before I say it, because I'm not going to go over and say anything, and I am not going to edit whatever I voice note, whatever voice over I do. I am not going through the process to edit it, so what you hear, you will definitely hear. So after I take out the baby hairs for the back, I'm just getting it pressed in, and I'm just using the comb to press in the frontal with the cap and the skin where the glue is. I use a little foundation, the same shade of foundation that I used to color the ball cap. I am using a little with my small brush just to tint the hairline a little bit, because nobody's scalp is that white as the lace. So yes, the lace is going to need a little bit of shading. Then wherever the two frontal meets at the side above her ears, I am going to cut off the excess lace from that ear also. In another case, I think I might stitch it together, but the frontal was thick enough and it was okay. I didn't have to go the extreme to do all of that. It's not like a 360 where sometimes it's wider and you have to stitch a part of it. So this is extremely perfect for what I'm doing. So I'm using my wax stick just to tame the hair a little so I can get it how I want it, a little bit off, not flying all over the place. And I use a hot comb to comb in the hair wax just to melt it in so the hair is tame, so whenever I move it to a direction, it will not be fighting me to go back to the other direction. So that's what the wax stick really does. It makes it soft, flat, and it tames the hair so the hair doesn't go all over the place. So that part that I'm taking out for the front, I'm going to do 2 little curls at the front. So I'm just using the hot comb to straighten the hair as straight as possible, and then I'm getting that little part out of the way, because that will basically be the last thing that I do before I end the video. So this is the last part of the style. So I'm taking out some baby hairs, not too much, and she is not a baby hair person. Trust me, if I could just style her hair just like this and let her go with no baby hair, she would love that. But she not gonna rule me. Me at the hairdresser, and me I do what me want to do. And me I do what me think look good, so me I get her baby hair. But every time she comes, she always, oh, don't give me no baby hair because me can't make them back. Blah, blah, blah. But our birthday, and me I do what me want to do when me want to do it. So me I get her baby hair. So I section the frontal. If you notice, I was parting the frontal just to add the wax inside, because if you put the wax just on the outer surface of the frontal, underneath might still be a little bit bulgy, or it might split. Like when you're trying to catch it up, you might notice that it's cracking up. So you have to put the wax underneath, like part it in small parts and just apply the wax underneath just to get everything neat. Just like when you catch up a regular hair. You have to make sure so the gel or whatever you use to catch up a hair, it go all the way down to the scalp area. So when I comb it and brush it, everything is all neat in. So it's the same thing I'm doing with the wax stick. So afterwards, I use my little toothbrush thingy and I brush it in neater so I get a neater ketchup. So I brush it in and make sure it's all neat. And this is a 360 of what it looks like without the baby hairs and all. So now I am going to use my Gots to Be freezing spray, and I am going to spray all the way around the surface just to melt it in more with the glue so it's more transparent and it looks more skin-like. So I asked her to hold the baby hairs for a reason, because I want to make sure the baby hair is all stretched down. So when I'm ready to make the baby hairs, they're going to be all smooth and easily laid. So I could just tie the band on, but the baby hairs are going to freeze however they want to freeze, but I want them to be tame and all the way down. So when she hold them and she stretch them down and it dries exactly how I want it to dry. It's easier for me to tame them that way. So I removed the rubber band from where I had catch her hair in part one of the video, and now I am going to catch the frontal and her hair in one with one rubber band. That way it is neater than how it would catch if I just catch the frontal over the first catching. That makes sense? Alright, so her hair, how me catch up fair hair? If me just catch up the frontal with her hair, because there's already a rubber band in the middle of the frontal. So if I should catch the frontal is not going to sit right. The rubber band is not going to sit right because the frontal is a lot more slipperier than her natural hair, so the rubber band is not going to go all the way down. So I have to catch everything in one just to get a better catch. And because her hair was black on the end, I used one of the ball cap to wrap her hair just to hide the black part. I did not have any paper wrap to do this part, and even if I do have paper wrap, I usually use the black ones and the black still doesn't cut a dash. So I am doing what I am doing. As I said before, there is no shortcutting, there is no rules in hairstyling, and yes, shortcut is acceptable as long as when you take the shortcut and you go all the way on to the end, as long as it turns out how you want it, you can just freestyle and do what you have to do. There's no rules to this. So once you're doing something and it makes sense, you can just go ahead and continue doing what you're doing. So for the bundles that I'm going to be attaching to the ponytail, I am going to sew them in, because to me it makes no sense to put glue on freshly bought bundles. I'm considerate, so I wouldn't put glue on my freshly bundles, so I'm not going to do that to a client. So I ready to sew on the bundles and it lasts longer by the way it holds. I guess the glue and the sewing holds basically the same amount of time, because people are going to keep on one wig and bundles forever. So the glue will hold just the same. But I choose to sew because I'm not going to be attaching black glue to a blonde hair. So I just stitch the top part each time I wrap and I come around. With the bundles, I just make one loop with the needle through the top part. So that is how I'm securing it. I'm not securing it that if she doesn't have any help to remove it, she doesn't know what she's doing. The thread will be there, you can feel them and cut them. It's just one thread. As you cut one thread coming down, you're going to see another thread and you cut them. So I'm not going to stitch it all the way around in circle. I just stitch the top part, and whenever I'm wrapping it now, I wrap it extremely tight. So when I come back to the top now, I make another stitch and then I wrap it tight enough for it to stay in place. So I use the Gots to Be gel to make the part that is going to cover the width of the bundles. So that little piece of thin hair, I just take out more because it wasn't thick enough for me, and I want it to be high. I want it to have a high rising look. So I take out a piece more and I do it. I use the Gots to Be gel, and I also use the freezing spray for that part. So now the lace is dry and everything. And everything me spray, she jump because the AC did on and the shop did cold and she afraid of the freezing spray. Everybody afraid of the freezing spray, by the way. So the baby hair them set exactly how I want them flat, and yes, me did a suck my tongue cause me always a suck my tongue. And firstly, me try get the back part curl out of the way. So me curl it and get it out of the way. So when me start curl the back part now, the back part will just drop over it. So I'm giving her some loose curls. You know them nice loose curls we wear? Them nice curls that when I go last 2 3 days, them one day, them same one day. But if them pull up, you can't fix them back yourself, you might have to go back to the hairdresser. So them loose curl them right there. Because them loose curl are cute, that them I like. So anyways, I'm giving her the loose curls. And them turn out nice. And surprisingly, her. They lasted. Yes, they did. And now I'm doing the same for the front, giving her them nice loose curls. So I use the small curling iron to do it, and I am not going to be adding any gel to the baby hairs. I use the Got to Be Freeze to the baby hairs to lay them down, and she a jump again because it's cold, not because me rough. Because it's cold, she a jump. And I use the Got to Be freezing spray to lay down the baby hairs because I don't want them to be solid. I want them to be loose. So because it's night and she was actually going out the next day and I wanted things to be done for my video, this is the reason why I am doing all of this. But I could have done this the next day because she was going to do her makeup, so I just get the harder part of the way. I got the harder part out of the way because I was booked for the next day, so I could not do her hair the next day. So I chose to stay back at the shop and do it. And because it was my second time doing a frontal ponytail, I decided to record it because I did not get any recording of the first time that I did it. And the first time honestly, the first time, I think I did a better job at the first time than the second time. Not that I did not try my best with this one, but because it was a curly hair and it was just all curly, it had this natural dolly look. It was so delicious, trust me. So it was all smooth and melting and it was full of waves. So because this is a straight hair, when I got the two frontal up for the other one, it was all curly and I took out the little pieces at the sides and the baby hairs at the back, it was a deep wave, so it was already curly. So I love the first one more because it was a curly hair and I love curly hair more than straight hair. So I decided to do a recording of what I am doing. So because the first time I did not get a record, I wouldn't pass this opportunity. Now that I am growing my channel, I decided to record stuff whenever the shop is not full and I have a one client or maybe a two client waiting, I can record. But when I have more people at the shop, I am not going to be recording because I'm shy. I'm gonna like people just sit down and look at me. Cause they just so sit down and stare like, me a teacher or me a keep on class or something. Me not like them the attention, them not like attention. So I like them recording when me have one client and I just me and her. And she basically not stare for me because of fear hear me and this, so I feel more confident to go about my recordings and all that. So I give her some loose curls for the back of the ponytail. As I said before, we did plan to do it tomorrow. Because I really tomorrow she go out and so the loose curls them now go look so wonderful in the morning because I hot curl and I like her rods. So if she did had her rods, I would curl them and then I would rod them and the curl would have last. But you know, everything will look different in the morning. We don't have to pretend like it will go perfect the next day. So I told her after she get her makeup done, she could have come and I give her some fresh up on the curls at the front and the curls at the back. And if the baby hairs need any more curling, I would do that. Because it was night. We were basically hurrying and then her drive was downstairs waiting. So we have to move faster. So guys, I am using my hot comb to straighten the middle part of the hair. I don't want it to be extremely flat, so I'm using the Got to Be Free spray to keep it stiff. So when I use a flat iron for the top part, it is going to have a height. You see that height right there? That is what I was aiming for, and that is what I have gotten. So afterwards, I'm just gonna use a curling iron to make the two curls at the front, and basically the style is completed. So I'm using the same foundation and the same small brush to highlight the part so it look more natural. So the little center part, I'm just making it look more natural, and for the parting around the two side bangs, I'm just highlighting them. So the style is completed, guys. It's done, it's done, it's done. This is it. And a whole heap of talking me do, you know. A whole heap of chatting this, cause 23 minutes. Voice over hard, you know. Voice over is hard. Cause you have to just a chat a go so. I mean, no want no copyright claims pan none of my video them ever again. So I not use nobody music. I can't sing, I not make song. I not make rhythm, I not make nothing like that. So I not use nothing for nobody. So guys, I hope you love this style. I hope you love it. I hope you love this video, guys. If you do, give this video a thumbs up and share with your friends on all social media platforms. And I will definitely be posting more hairstyles once the shop not full and maybe something when we decide to take a video of. But this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.